Well, tomorrow the province is expected to release its recommended plan for the intersection of the Trans-Canada Highway and Highway 5 near Carberry. In 2023, it was the site of a deadly crash that claimed the lives of 17 seniors when a bus collided with a semi. Now, recently, CBC News obtained a 2006 report which found several issues at the intersection of Highway 1 and Highway 5 near Carberry. Safety concerns at the site of the 2023 crash were highlighted in a report written nearly 20 years ago. Over the past year or so, the government has hosted open houses so that residents could get a look at the proposed plans for the intersection. Now, some of the options include an overpass, wider medians, and the R-cut intersection. We are asking you, what would you like to see at that intersection? What do you think needs to be done to improve highway safety? Give us a call. Join the conversation, 204-780-0893, 204-780-0893, or text us at 204-588-7355, 204-588-7355. Ahmed Shalabi is a professor at the Price Faculty of Engineering at the University of Manitoba. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good afternoon, Marjorie.
Before the province is set to unveil the proposed plans for the intersection there, again, let's go over what are some of the options here that are on the table.
So the options that were given so far are three, what you can call medium cost options. One of them is widening the median. So basically having one of the directions deviate away from the other direction such that the median can be wider at the intersection to accommodate longer vehicles. Another option is a roundabout, which is an option. Normally it results in an increase in number of crashes, but lower severity crashes. So that's part of their attractiveness, is that they lower the severity of crashes. The third option is an R-cut, which is new to us in Manitoba, but Saskatchewan has already built one on Highway 16. It is a way to make traffic not cross the intersection, but rather do U-turns at a distance away from the intersection to move away some of these conflict points that happen right at the intersection. So to spread them out. And in doing so, it allows drivers to have a better control over interference from other vehicles, allow them to be shielded from traffic until an acceptable gap in traffic is presented to them, and then they can do a U-turn. Obviously, for large trucks and longer vehicles, that takes quite a bit of time. So that gap has to be much longer than it is normally for a passenger vehicle.
Okay, we have our first caller on the line. Bob joins us now. Hi, Bob.
Oh, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
What's your comment?
Well, my comment is, I first of all, I have looked at the safety report that was written in December 23 by WSP of Winnipeg, and they did quite a bit of engineering study about this, and they expect collisions with a roundabout of 1.8 per year versus a expected collision with an R-cut of 2.1 per year, which would suggest to me, by those numbers, a 16% higher rate of collision with an R-cut as opposed to a roundabout. But the most important part of that is that the injury factor is 3 times higher with an R-cut as opposed to a roundabout, because roundabouts, because of their geometry, they tend to be a glancing blow at a lower speed. And I've driven roundabouts all over the world, and I'm sure many of your listeners have. And they're easy to do. And, all you really need there is maybe a 70-meter diameter roundabout to make it a safer for all of Manitobans. And I think we deserve a safe road design.
Absolutely, we do. Thank you so much for joining us, Bob.
Okay, thanks very much.
Take care. Bob brought up some very valid points. Really knows his stuff, by the way.
That's great to hear.
That is amazing. What I found very interesting about what Bob talked about is the number of collisions you would see on a roundabout versus the number of collisions you would see on an R-cut. So maybe, Ahmed, you can kind of explain this a little bit more about why one option is safer than the other.
Yeah. So we understand that these are all predictions, and these are all very comparable. They are not exact numbers. So where these numbers come from is from studies on other intersections that may be in other parts of the world that have some collision history. So they built an ARCAT or built a number of roundabouts and counted the number of crashes on them. And then we use this to say, well, if we build one here, you'll get 1.8 or 2.1. These are still very close to each other that, the difference is really, if you look at the end of this report, it was presented to the province that you can select any of these three. There is not a big difference. The issue also is it's not the number of crashes that we want to reduce. You want to reduce the number of fatal and severe injury crashes. These are the ones that we definitely want to reduce more. So it is typical that both of these options may lead to some more crashes, but they are generally of the type that can be of lower severity.
Okay. We're speaking here with Ahmed Shalabi, and we're talking about the options for the intersection of the Trans-Canada Highway at Highway 5 in Carberry. The province is set to reveal their recommendations tomorrow. So give us a call and tell us what you think should be at that intersection. 204-780-0893, 204-780-0893, or text us at 204-588-7355, 204-588-7355. And Ahmed, I want to go back because as we spoke to you in the story that we had posted online yesterday about the report that came out 20 years ago, what exactly was it that was being recommended at that time to improve the intersection?
So that came at the request of, I believe, Carberry, that, the question was, would this be a suitable location for a traffic signal? And obviously, I was not involved in that report,
right.
So I can only judge by what I can read there. So the answer was that, a traffic signal at this location would not be warranted, would not really meet the conditions we have for traffic signals. And that short report identified a number of issues. One of them is the narrow median, but also identified that this is a larger issue. And if we were to address it, we have to address it when we rehabilitate the whole road, and because this would be the same situation at a number of other intersections too, and we better deal with them all at the same time. Now, unfortunately, that was not done in the 20 years since, and that's why this is a problem now. And at the time this highway was built or was twinned, which I believe was in the 1960s or 70s. There was not that understanding of how wide should the median be, and where should traffic crossings be, and how would they look like. So that was not done to the same standards that we have today. That would require a median to be much wider, because we are now dealing with longer, heavier trucks that take a long time to cross a road, and we would like them to be shielded from traffic while stopped on the median.
Yeah.
So the 2006 report identified the problems really well. It just wasn't able to proceed with any of the solutions.
Take us back a little bit here. Obviously, we had the really tragic crash that happened 2 years ago. But what is it about this intersection in particular that makes it a dangerous intersection?
So, Trans-Canada Highway is a major highway in Manitoba. It's an expressway, so it does carry a lot of heavy vehicles that are traveling across the country. Highway 5, over time, had an increasing number of vehicles, an increasing number of trucks and longer vehicles that are also crossing the highway. Anytime we have an intersection, this intersection is controlled by two stop signs on Highway PTH 5 and no traffic control on Trans-Canada, obviously. So for a vehicle to cross the highway, to cross Highway Trans-Canada from Highway 5, they need to have a gap in the traffic. And that gap had to be clear to them, and they need to be able to see far enough to be able to cross the entire highway. That may be possible when there is good weather and in the summer, and may be more difficult if there is adverse conditions or snow or low visibility or rain. So that creates additional risk that we need to be addressing. We need to reduce that risk in some manner. Now, a typical way of controlling or reducing that risk previously had been to reduce the speed. So you go to Trans-Canada Highway and you say, well, when you approach this intersection, speed has to be reduced from 100 to 80 kilometers an hour, for example. But over time, we learned that this is not a good strategy because any change on speed on the major highway creates additional risk too. So now we have to look for other ways. And, obviously an overpass is a way to separate those directions and avoid any interaction between the traffic. Traffic signals is a way, but it's really not recommended and wouldn't be. In fact, we have a few other ones that we would eventually want to remove from TransCanada. So we would not be likely adding more traffic signals on TransCanada.
Yeah. Go ahead, Amit.
Yeah, so it is those solutions that we need to look at, and in order to make the intersection more predictable, safer, avoid conflict between directions of traffic, and reduce the risk for traveling public.
We're speaking with Ahmed Shalabi here, a professor at the Price Faculty of Engineering at the University of Manitoba. We're asking you what you'd like to see at the intersection of Highway 1 and Highway 5 near Carberry. The province is set to unveil its proposed plan tomorrow for that intersection. We did receive a comment earlier today, so let's get to that comment.
Robert Smith from Sydney. I have been unhappy with the process. I have been unhappy with the engineering. I've been unhappy. It's a difficult process. They are determined, the engineering department, to copy what has happened in Saskatchewan without question. My solution is different than the three you listed. There is no reason number 5 can't come straight north and meet number 1 half mile east of the present junction. It's a simpler, cheaper solution.
Thank you so much for your comment, Robert. What do you think there, Ahmed? He talked about extending Highway 5, I believe, to meet Highway 1. Would something like that work?
I'm not familiar with the exact location that is mentioned, but if it's a location where the median is wider or there is better visibility, or that is still a solution. It probably will not be a cheap solution, but it's in the realm of other solutions that can be considered, of course.
Yeah, we've talked to many residents in the area, and the R-cut seems to be a very controversial option. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that option for a lot of people is one that wouldn't work there?
So I don't know, of course, but in my opinion, that anything new will require a period of awareness and being introduced gradually to the community and being understood by drivers and who are attempting to do maneuvers on these highways, because the most dangerous thing is when they don't understand what's going on. So they would do things that are unpredictable. So an R-cut is new to us, and we're going to be trying it on our major highway across the province, if that is the solution that is selected. So that is always comes with a lot of controversy with it. Obviously, this is a high-speed highway. We don't have a lot of time to think, what is this intersection? Why is it different from every other one? And if we're not familiar with what to do, that is always a difficult situation.
We want to hear from you. What would you like at the highways of 1 and 5, the Trans-Canada and 5 near Carberry? The province is set to reveal tomorrow the proposed plan for that intersection. 204-780-0893. 204-780-0893 is the number to call, or text us at 204-588-7355. 204-588-7355. My guest today is Ahmed Shalaby, professor at the Price Faculty of Engineering at the University of Manitoba. We did try to get Carberry Mayor Ray Muirhead to join us. Unfortunately, he wasn't available. But in speaking to him, he said that what residents wanted to see is an overpass. Would an overpass work at this intersection? It sounds like an option that was on the table, but is it one that can work here?
It can definitely work in this location. If it needs to be designed, of course, but it can definitely work. Yes, an overpass is a way to separate the directions of traffic such that there are no conflict points between them, and any conflict points would be between merging and diverging traffic. So getting an off ramp or an on ramp that are typically a lot less severe than an intersection.
As an engineer, as someone with an engineering background, what do you think engineers would look for? What do you think that they would recommend?
I think they are trying to, in my opinion, they're trying to look at the bigger picture. This is one of maybe 10 or more intersections that are in a similar situation. And whatever solution we're going to adopt in one is likely going to be repeated at other ones. So are we at the point where we can adopt an overpass at 10 locations on the Trans-Canada? Probably we are. I'm not saying we're not. But I think they're trying to look at, this is not a local problem of Highway 1 and Highway 5. There is also Highway 13 and 16 and other ones that would be candidates for a similar treatment.
Okay, so you think that what happens here at this intersection could have an effect on what we could see at other intersections?
That's very, in my opinion, that's very likely, yes.
Yeah, I guess the difference would be the cost, right? I mean, obviously cost is a big factor in this.
Yes, cost is always a factor, but there are ways to control cost and spread it over more years and have different contracting methods that allow us to build now and spread the cost over time.
We're speaking with Ahmed Shalaby, professor at the Price Faculty of Engineering at the University of Manitoba. We're asking you for your comments, your questions about the Trans-Canada Highway and Highway 5 near Carberry. That's because a proposed plan is expected to be presented by the province tomorrow. Give us a call, 204-780-0893. 204-780-0893 or text us at 204-588-7355, 204-588-7355. We have about a couple more minutes to take your questions here. And Ahmed, I want to ask you, so there's one other R-cut, and that's in Saskatchewan. Do you know much about it? Has it worked there?
From what I hear, it was built recently in the last 3 or 4 years, and the early performance has been good. So it is producing good results. It is safer than the previous configuration of the intersection. There are more R-cuts in the U.S., especially in Minnesota, that we can have been there for longer and have been performing well. Now, every location is different. Every situation is different. Trans-Canada is different, and there are no R-cuts yet on Trans-Canada. Whether this is a solution that would be understood by a driver coming from BC or from Ontario and facing this for the first time, that is going to require a lot of public awareness and conveying the message that this intersection works in a different way.
We have time for a comment here. Beth joins us now. Hi, Beth.
Hi there.
Hi. What's your comment?
Well, I'm on the committee that is opposing the R-cut in town, and we're really advocating for an overpass. And my comment is that we learned from someone from Nipawin that she was in Newfoundland, and she counted 19 overpasses on the main highway in Newfoundland, and she said there was only 3 on the main highway in Manitoba. And she pointed out that the population of Newfoundland is 1/3 the size of Manitoba. So, she was questioning why don't we build more overpasses in this province. And the other point I wanted to make was apparently this intersection was designed with an overpass in mind when they first twinned the highway, and I don't know when that was. It was a long time ago. But the sort of public lore in Carberry is that everybody expected 20 years later that we would have an overpass there. And like this is now goodness knows how many decades later, and we still don't have the overpass. So we're really hoping that the government will stop worrying about the money and the cost of of what it's going to take to fix it, and to do it right the first time. And we really feel like the R-cut just does not fit our community.
Great. Thank you so much for your comment, Beth. We're going to get you to react in just a moment here, but we're going to quickly get one more caller on the line because we have a couple more minutes left. Hi, Jean. Oh, let's get Jean on the line here. Hi, Jean. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, what's your comment?
I think the only reasonable thing is an overpass. There are so many semis on that road. Like if you go down to the States, they've got overpasses about every 10 miles, and it keeps the vehicles moving. But there are so many semis on that road that don't want to stop or go around a different sort of a road is just unbelievable, I think. And the thing, it's Canada's main highway, and if we can't do something like that, I don't know what's wrong with us.
Thank you very much for your comment there, Jean. We have about 30 seconds left here, Ahmed. I'm going to get you to react this. Very strong opposition to the R-cut. Lots of people in favor of the overpass. What do you think?
I really don't have a reaction to that. Both solutions are possible. One is more expensive than the other, and we really need to think about the system-wide solution. Where are we going to build 10 of those along the Trans-Canada? So that's really an issue, right? So, but there is really no. Both solutions were offered in that report. That an overpass was offered, but deferred for a period of 20 years until the traffic justifies it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to probably get your reaction tomorrow. That report does come out. Thank you again, Ahmed.
Thank you very much.